When I was in my late teens, I took up jogging, and I jogged on and off for years. I was no long-distance runner, but I would run a few kilometers at a time. I enjoyed running. It felt good. However, I rarely ran for running's sake. I'm a rather purposeful person, so I tended to run to places and for reasons, the store, a friend's place, work, rather than just run. We had a quarter-mile track at the end of our street, and I would sometimes run on it, but only to see how far I could run over a certain time period. It is important to note that no one ever considered me to be an athlete. One day I was out running with a friend whose picture is probably still up on some high school gym wall. He suggested we sprint the last few blocks back to his place. It was ready, set, go, and I was left in his dust. I tried to pour it on, but he just disappeared ahead of me. That moment took a lot of wind out of my jogging sails. I realized just how mediocre a runner I was. I say all this to lead up to the following scripture passage from Hebrews 12. As for us, we have this large crowd of witnesses around us. So then let us rid ourselves of everything that gets in the way and of the sin which holds onto us so tightly, and let us run with determination the race that lies before us. Let us keep our eyes fixed on Jesus, on whom our faith depends from beginning to end. He did not give up because of the cross. On the contrary, because of the joy that was waiting for him, he thought nothing of the disgrace of dying on the cross, and he is now seated at the right hand of God's throne. Think of what he went through, how he put up with so much hatred from sinners. So do not let yourselves become discouraged and give up. We've just finished celebrating Easter and Christ's resurrection, but in order to rise from the dead, Jesus had to die. Now, all of us are going to die, but Jesus' death was particularly gruesome and unjust. The crazy part is that Jesus knew how he was going to die, and he willingly allowed it to happen. Personally, I plan on resisting death for as long as possible and plan to go out kicking and screaming. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure heaven is great, but I'm just in no hurry to get there. Anyway, the author of Hebrews compares our life to a race that we have a choice about how we are going to run. As I said earlier, I didn't run for running's sake. I ran to places, and if I was to be totally honest, it was because I had limited access to a car during that time period. The author of this passage from Hebrews makes several suggestions about how to run this race. The first is to get rid of everything that would get in the way. I would suggest that there are at least two kinds of things that get in the way. The first are those things that weigh you down. Yes, you are running the race and pointed in the right direction, but all the weight you are carrying is slowing you down. Because I ran to places, I often had to carry stuff with me in a backpack. There is a significant difference in running without any encumbrances and jogging with a heavy backpack bouncing on your back. It not only slows you down, but it also exhausts you. The second type of thing that gets in the way are distractions. I walked in the Ride for Refuge last October on the Etobicoke Creek Trail. The trail is a paved path, and in advance I had measured the distance so I knew what my starting and turnaround points were. However, I did the walk carrying a camera, and I wandered all over the place taking pictures on the way. By the time I had finished the walk, I had walked almost double the distance, and I didn't even get to the turnaround point. Coming to the end of a race either late and exhausted or not even getting to the destination are both problematic. Because I jogged to destinations such as my job, it was often important for me to arrive on time and ready to work. The author also talks about throwing off the sin that holds on to us. The Greek word that is translated sin is hamartia, which is an archery term meaning to miss the mark, to miss the bullseye. So in this case, the sin that holds on to us is the thing that would cause us to wander off the track and that we are running on. There are two more suggestions that the author makes about running the race. The first is to run with determination, and the other is to not get discouraged. It is easy to be determined if you know why and what the outcome will be upon completion of your race. This raises the question, since the author is talking about the race of life. Do you know why you're running this life race? Do you see purpose and a reason for running? If you don't, then it will be hard to run it with determination. This is too big a topic to get into with this devotional, but I would suggest that you find an answer to those questions. About 10 years ago, I decided to take up running again. It was a hard start. I could barely get around the block, and that was doing a combination run-walk. Over time, I built up my endurance and gradually worked my way up to running the full distance, but I found no joy in it. As I stated at the beginning of this devotion, when I was running in my 20s, it was mostly to get somewhere. I did not enjoy running for running's sake, and I soon became discouraged and quit. There are many reasons that can contribute to discouragement: lack of progress, failure. I vividly remember my friend pulling away so quickly as we sprinted. No direction or goal or seeming purpose. Many reasons. I think the key to overcoming that discouragement is found in the middle verse from Hebrews. Let us keep our eyes fixed on Jesus, on whom our faith depends from beginning to end. He did not give up because of the cross. On the contrary, because of the joy that was waiting for him, he thought nothing of the disgrace of dying on the cross, and he is now seated at the right hand of God's throne. There are two really important points here. The first is to keep our eyes fixed on Jesus. When you run long distances, you find that there are points of exhaustion where you want to stop. I would look ahead to the next street or telephone pole or even the next driveway and just keep my eyes on it and make getting there my focus. And as soon I would be past that goal and the exhaustion would have passed as well. Keep your eyes on Jesus. There's another point, that is, Jesus looked past the cross towards the joy that was waiting for him. Running always left me tired, achy, sweaty, etc., etc. But the benefits of that exercise was better health, good weight, sound sleep, eating ice cream without guilt, and so forth. The race can be miserable, just trying running on snow and ice, but the joy afterwards is immense. So run your race with determination and don't get discouraged. Heaven awaits.